Garamakot Olivia. A hishig Eric no Actraca stoit in Iliog. An gatal sheas mar Uctrone herin is middlem fir Queen Folja ro Viliog. Agus an ocoid special to Kilurukcha. Agus is middlem Folchi Carriga Gwall and ar Ian Oinjak agus Faichori grad man Uctronum herivich den a gail lar. Das na blianta fes a fehes fehen. Tasú lam gníléon efras ar yma gomwyn Shivchanov as an ocoid tofach seo. Dear friends, as President of Ireland, I would very much like to welcome you all here to our Synodthrone for this very special occasion. I wish in particular to welcome our special guests of honour, the recipients of the Presidential Distinguished Service Award for the Irish abroad for the years 2020 and 2021. Also, those representatives of those who are unable, as you have heard, to be with us for different circumstances, and indeed all of those guests who are accompanying our recipients or their representatives. Sabina and I are honoured that you're all with us here this evening, and indeed our thoughts go out too to those who, for different circumstances, but particularly due to the COVID-19 pandemic, are unable to be with us. And we think in a special way too of those recipients to whom an award has been posthumously made. Across their different categories, as you have heard, awards such as those that will be given this evening are a gesture of recognition, a recognition of actions that are beyond the self in terms of their consequences, the exceptional achievement that they represent, the moral sensibility that they indicate. In short, the outreach to the other they represent in whatever circumstances such is encountered. The agency for all of such actions, however, are sourced, we must never forget, in a personal commitment beyond the ordinary. That is why it is appropriate to celebrate the unique and special commitment of those involved for their personal efforts, sacrifices, and contribution to achievements of excellence in their chosen field of activities. Irishness is a characteristic with many dimensions. The census of 1901 showed that of all the Irish born on the island of Ireland, over half were living outside the island of Ireland. Our Irishness, we should never forget, can never be defined exclusively on the basis of residence. Our Irishness is defined in an important way by our migratory reality, by what we feel, achieve, suffer, or experience wherever we breed as migrants in time and space. Throughout Ireland's history, migration has been a life-changing reality. At times, too often, too rarely maybe rather, voluntary, too often involuntary, in response to poverty and despair, but also, let us never forget, to an indomitable curiosity. Often in earlier centuries, the exploitation of military skill or administrative expertise in the colonial services, or simply the seizing of an opportunity that was not available or was the subject of exclusion, indeed that which was forbidden at home. For some of our most memorable Irish, it was not a migration only simply for survival or a flourishing in a material sense. From the earliest times, there were the spiritual pilgrims and, of course, a rich monastic tradition that was among our very earliest contributions to European life in its broadest sense. Adjusting to the circumstances in which we have organized our double ceremony for 2020 and 2021, I don't think we need any reminder of the global interconnectedness which defines our contemporary existence and what has been made a fragile planet. We are living through a pandemic that has already drawn a heavy toll in global terms, be it in terms of lives lost, lives impaired, lives imperiled. There are great responsibilities that flow from even the most basic recognition or assertion of our global circumstances. Often, at the most practical and meaningful level, such responsibilities in their different forms have informed the actions and lives of those we are honouring this evening. Theirs have been contributions that were not confined by any borders. In their different ways, our recipients have acknowledged a shared and common vulnerable humanity, a shared world of discovery too, and responsibility in delivering science, commerce, literature, and scholarship. In celebrating aspects of our defining migratory experience, we must never forget those many lives which failed to thrive in foreign soil, where the migratory experience was defined by loneliness and exclusion, reflected, as our song and musical tradition attests so well, in a relentless longing for home. We must not forget ever that such people were and remain part of Ireland's wider family. However, there were also, and happily so many for whom a new beginning, combined with hard effort and commitment to new circumstances, gave birth to lives which grew and flourished, making a lasting impact on their new communities as they worked, raised and educated their children, and lived fulfilling lives in their adopted countries, while remaining loyal to and proud of their rich Irish heritage. We, all of us Irish, can be very proud then of those members of our diaspora who have made such a special contribution to society and our world, particularly those who have located their lives among the global poor, the disadvantaged, the oppressed, exemplifying as they do the best of our Irishness in numerous ways, making a powerful solidarity. Distinguished Irish people, such as those we honour this evening, have impacted and are impacting with distinction and originality on the worlds of arts, business, public service, healthcare, education and sport. They have cared for and changed the lives of the vulnerable and marginalised and brought compassion, aid and a spirit of solidarity to those struggling in countries described as developing countries. They have excelled and given a lead in science and in its global application for the betterment of all humanity. They have fought passionately for the vindication of basic rights, the most essential basic rights. They've worked tirelessly to promote peace and reconciliation in our world. In doing all of this, they represent our nation and its Irishness at its best, with generosity and dignity, and they enhance our reputation across the world. Tonight we recognise and honour some of those remarkable people whose contributions to the creation of a better world has been outstanding. Their work in bringing hope and respect into the lives of vulnerable, abused women, for example, or in empowering the elderly members of our wider Irish community in the United Kingdom, in championing the rights of those who suffer from discrimination and prejudice, in protecting children and adults whose rights have been violated, in promoting peace and understanding across cultures and borders, in addressing the problems faced by the poor and defenceless in Africa. The contributions we honour have been sourced in heart and soul, in mind and intellect. We honour those whose work reminds us that having a commitment to continually revising, adapting and responding to new forms of knowledge, imagination or creative insight is the most valuable contribution in terms of how we see ourselves and represent the story of ourselves and make our use of memory ethical. Those we honour tonight represent the full gamut of the responsibility that an interdependent, globalised people might have in making living together on a fragile planet an experience of peace and human flourishing. Our awardees are models most worthy of the honours we are awarding them tonight. Tá sé tiltte ach an ilin avras an fuishin is tres lim lorish. May I take this opportunity also to thank the members of the high-level panel who deliberated on this year's Presidential Distinguished Service Awards. Mr. Martin Fraser, the Secretary-General Department of the Taoiseach, Mr. Joe Hackett, the Secretary-General of the Department of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Ola Hanrahan, the Secretary-General to my own office, and my advisor, Ms. Claire Power, and Miss Katrina Crone, Miss Samantha Barry, and Mr. Kingsley Aikens. I'm delighted to see so many of you here this evening, and I do, of course, want in a special way to thank Olivia for being with us yet again and helping us. Goramila Mahakif, Galilin, Aversar Makamanish Janavas Nirta, is Barbanatorid Ilk.